to build everything. So, Mr. Raja, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, so I'll just share my system screen before I proceed. Yes. So till now, okay, so whatever we have seen is completely related with a multisim, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to see the co-simulation between LabVIEW and multisim. Okay, so actually we have a different kind of a co-simulation. Okay, what we see now, right? Even there is a co-simulation. Okay, but this is a co-simulation between a multisim and hardware MyDAC. Okay, we have enabled a MyDAC block in a multisim window. Okay, and we used or we compared a multisim, like the simulation output with the actual circuit output, right? In the same way, what we can do is we can enable a co-simulation between a multisim and LabVIEW. Okay, so here I can show you. Yeah, so this is the one. So first we can bring the co-simulation between multisim and LabVIEW. Okay, and then we can communicate our hardware with LabVIEW. So everything is possible. Okay, so now you might get a question why we need to communicate multisim and LabVIEW. Like if I ask what is the reason for co-simulation between multisim and DAC, you can easily say to compare a simulation output with a real circuit output. Okay, so for that is the reason we are going for multisim co-simulation. Like we can enable simulated hardware in a multisim. So in a multisim, we'll be designing our simulated circuit. The same circuit will build in a real world also. So we can easily compare a simulation output with the real world circuit. So this is the use of multisim co-simulation. Okay, and now we are going with multisim co-simulation with LabVIEW. Okay, the reason for going with multisim co-simulation with LabVIEW is first one is testing. Okay, the testing response. Okay, the testing response in the sense uh, you might be heard of ATE, automated test equipment. So what we'll be doing is if you manufacture some product, okay, so product or a component, we have to ensure, okay, we have to ensure that hardware or component is working properly. Okay, for that what we'll be doing is we'll be running a several test automated test equipment. Okay, so if you want to perform the automated test, okay, so what we supposed to do is for example, let us consider I want to test a diode. Okay, so how we can test a diode? We have to provide a variable voltage and we have to check what is the breakdown voltage, and then we have to see how exactly it works, right? So for this we just need to we have to provide a variable voltage to the diode, and I need to measure the output voltage, like the voltage drop across the diode, correct? So if you want to do this manually, obviously it will take some time. So instead what we can do is we can write a program. Okay, so we can write a program. So once we run the program, our program will generate a variable voltage or step voltage. Okay, and that voltage will be fed to my diode, and my diode by providing the step voltage, and we'll be measuring the voltage drop across the diode. And if we get a proper breakdown voltage, okay, and if we get a proper forward bias, okay, if we get a proper forward bias graph, we can sure that my diode is working. Okay, if I'm not getting proper forward bias voltage or reverse bias voltage, we can say that our diode is damaged or something like that. Okay, so this is how in every manufacturing unit they will test the product what they develop. Okay, they'll not do it manually, they'll develop a program for their ATE. Okay, they'll develop a program for their ATE, automated text equipment. They'll just simply run the program, and every component will be kept inside the ATE and it will be tested. If it is passed, okay, if it cleared the test, it will go for a sales. Okay, if it failed in the test, then they'll reject the component. Okay, so this is one use case for going with multisim co-simulation with LabVIEW. Okay, and another use case is, for example, we'll consider a simple converter. Okay, for example, we'll consider DC to DC converter. Okay, in a DC to DC converter, we'll be using a MOSFET, right? So for the MOSFET, we have to give a gate pulse. Okay, because based on the gate pulse only we are going to boost the voltage. Either it could be DC to DC chopper, or we can consider DC to AC. You can take any converter. For sure, it will be having a MOSFET. For a MOSFET, we must need to provide a trigger pulse, okay, or gate signal. Okay, so if you want to give those gate signals, we can able to give only from LabVIEW. Okay, so these gate signals, right, we can't like a control signals. So these signals or these uh, signals, right, we'll be calling as control signals. These control signals, right, we can't give from multisim. Actually we can give, but we can't control it. Okay, either we can give a fixed value. Okay, if you want to control your control signals which we provide to MOSFET in an inverter, we must need to go for LabVIEW. Okay, so in a multisim we'll be having every electronic circuit. Okay, whatever the components which we are required, right, everything will be placed in a multisim. And then the input for our circuit, okay, input for our circuit and the response of our circuit, right, everything will be visualized from LabVIEW. Okay, so even this is another use case. Okay, another use case where we can able to use a multisim co-simulation with LabVIEW. Okay, so we'll just see how we have to do this. So I think so in a slide. Okay, so in a slide I have a code for rectifier only. Okay, so it is full wave rectifier. Here you can able to see we have used two diode, and to measure the output we have used oscilloscope. Okay, so in this what we supposed to do is all those components, right, like inputs, right, that should be replaced with connectors. Okay, and in a LabVIEW we'll be getting something like this, input and output. Okay, and to work with this we'll be using this control and simulation loop in LabVIEW. Okay, so whatever I'm showing now, right, this is completely corresponds with LabVIEW tool, another tool. Okay, so yes, just let me start with a simple code. Okay, so first what we're supposed to do is we have to design our circuit. Okay, I have told you two examples, right? Testing a diode and a converter. Okay, we'll go with any one of the converter. Okay, first we'll start with testing the diode. Okay, so for testing a diode, so here we can take a very simple code. Better what I can do is testing diode I'll try to do with actual hardware. Okay, so the diode testing, right, I'll do with the actual hardware. So here I'll simply make use of simple a half wave rectifier. Okay, so we'll start with half wave rectifier. I'll go to file, new, and here I'm going to use a blank document only. So I'll open a blank document. Okay, blank multisim design. So as I already told you, when we work with multisim LabVIEW co-simulation, in a multisim, we'll place only the components. Okay, we'll not use any power source or will not use any virtual instruments. Okay, we'll just place only the components like resistor, transistor. Only those components will be placed in a multisim design. Okay, so for half wave rectifier, we need a diode. For load, we need a resistor, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to source. First, let me take a ground. Ground connection should be there. Then I'll go to basic. I'm going to take a resistor. And let me place the resistor over there. Then I need a diode. I'm going to use 1N4007 diode. Okay, so let me do with half wave rectifier only. Okay, for full wave rectifier, if I take it will take more time to develop, but I'll go with a simple one. Okay, so this I need to rotate it, rotate clockwise, and these steps I can connect over here. Okay, so in this you can able to see I have only the components. I don't have any inputs or outputs in this multisim design. Okay, one second. Okay, so my presentation is there, right? Okay, fine. So in this multisim design, you can able to see I have connected, I have placed only the components. I was not providing any input, and I'm not using any instrument to visualize the output also. Why? Because input and output we are going to provide and we are visualizing from LabVIEW. Okay, so here instead of connecting any source, okay, so actually we need to give AC source, right? So here instead of giving a source, what we are going to do is we are going to place a connector. Okay, we are going to place a connector which can be accessed from LabVIEW. Okay, so here we are going to use some component called connector. So that connector will act as an input, and those connector can be accessed from LabVIEW, and we can give input from LabVIEW. Okay, so now I'm going to use those connectors only. So I'll go to place connector. I'm going to take input connector. So input connector will be used to provide input to our circuit. Okay, so let me take an input connector and we can give a name, whatever the name we wanted, we can give, like I'm going to give it as input. Okay, so okay, can't able to type in just a minute. Yes, I'll just put it as input and I can click OK. Okay, so I just given a name and I'll be connecting to the input. Okay, so usually the output we have to measure parallel to resistor, right? So now I'm going to measure only at this point. Okay, I'm not going to measure here. I'm going to measure only at this point. The reason is the other end of the resistor is connected to a ground. Okay, so again I'll go to place connector. So now I want to measure the output of my circuit. So I need to use output connector. Okay, so now I need to use output connector. So let me take an output connector. I'll just change the name as output. I can simply click OK. And I can connect this. Okay, so that's it. So in this you can able to see, okay, so just a minute. Okay, so in this you can able to see I'm not connected with any source or any instrument. Instead, I have used input connector and output connector. So these connectors, right, can be accessed from LabVIEW. Okay, so in a multisim, just we'll have only the electronic components. Okay, so just we'll place the components and connectors. Okay, once we completed here, we can save this. Okay, I'll just give save as. So I'm going to save it on desktop, new folder. I'll just put it as multisim design. Okay, and name I can provide it as, just I'll put it as converter and save. Okay, so I have saved my multisim design. Okay, so now what I supposed to do is I have to open LabVIEW. Okay, so already I have better. I'll show you how to open LabVIEW. Okay, so yesterday you have worked on this tool only. Okay, go to start, just search as LabVIEW. So now what we'll do is in LabVIEW we'll call this multisim design. Okay, in LabVIEW we are going to call this multisim design and we'll provide input and we'll see the output from LabVIEW. Okay, so this I can ignore it. Yeah, so in LabVIEW I'm going to create a new program, file, new VI. I'll equally share my screen for both print panel and a block diagram. Okay, so as I already told you, now I'm going to call my multisim file or multisim design in LabVIEW. Okay, to do that, in LabVIEW, if I right click on block diagram and control and simulation. So here, if I go to simulation, external model, multisim and multisim design. Okay, so this is the function which I'm going to use in LabVIEW to call my multisim design. Okay, but here the problem is this LabVIEW tool, right? It is not only meant for simulation. Okay, so this LabVIEW we can able to use for a real-time application also. We can able to develop a code for a real-time project. So first, what we supposed to do is I want to make my LabVIEW program as a simulated environment. Okay, so I'll tell you why. For example, I'll go to control and simulation, external model, multisim and multisim design. Okay, I have told you like using this multisim design only I'm going to call my function, right? If I take and if I try to place on my block diagram, right, we can't able to place it. Okay, so we can't able to place our multisim design block. The reason we have not converted my LabVIEW environment into a simulated environment. Okay, so first what we supposed to do is we have to convert our LabVIEW environment into a simulated environment. Only then we can able to place this multisim design block. Okay, so to change into simulated environment, what you supposed to do is in your block diagram, you have to place control and simulation loop. Okay, just right click, go to control and simulation. Here you can able to see there is another loop called control and simulation loop. Okay, so I can just take this and I'm going to put it on my block diagram. Okay, so I have placed a control and simulation loop on my block diagram. So now I'm going to take my multisim design. Okay, right click, I'll go to control and simulation, external model, multisim design. So now we can able to see if I keep my mouse outside the loop, I'm getting a block icon. The same icon, if I take inside the control and simulation loop, I can able to place it. Okay, so I have a program, okay, like a LabVIEW program. In my LabVIEW program, I have used this control and simulation loop to create a simulation environment within this loop. Okay, so every multisim model or any simulation model, right, can be placed inside this control and simulation loop. Okay, so to create a simulated environment, we have to place this control and simulation loop. Inside this control and simulation loop, we can place every block. Okay, so okay, so that is placed because of some error. Okay, so actually we can't place. Okay, so we can able to see if I take outside, I'm getting a block icon. We can't place like that. Okay, we can able to place only inside. Okay, if we double tap on this, sorry, I'll try to take it again. Right click, control and simulation, external model, a multisim design. Okay, so once I place, I'll be getting a pop-up. Okay, so I'll be getting a pop-up to choose my multisim design. So I can just click browse. Okay, so I have saved my multisim design on desktop, multisim design folder. Here I have my multisim model. Okay, I can just select and I can click OK. And even here I can click OK. So in this you can able to see I have two terminals, one input terminal, one output terminal. This has been created only because I have kept two connectors, input and output. Okay, so here I'm getting these terminals, right? It is only because in my multisim model I have placed input connector and output connector. If you want to understand in a better way, so what I can do is I can go to place, I can go for another connector, I can take output connector. So this I'll give a name, just I'll give a name as test. Okay, so I'm creating just two testing, okay? Test, this I can connect it over here. Okay, so I can save this. Okay, so now I have added one more connector, its name is test. Okay, so I'll get back to lab view. So I have to refresh this. Okay, so just I have to refresh it. Once I refresh, now you can able to see it has one more terminal called test. The reason here I have added one more output connector. Okay, so the number of terminals which you get in LabVIEW, right, that is completely dependent on the number of connector which you place in your multisim model. Okay, if I delete this, again I'll save. Okay, now I have only two connectors. If I refresh here, the test terminal will get removed. The reason in my multisim, I have only two connectors. Okay. The number of terminals available in LabVIEW is equal to the number of connectors you place in your multisim design. Okay. So now I have to provide an input to my converter. So I'm going to give AC input. Okay. I'll just right click. I'll go to, for everything we are going to use simulated block only. So I'll go to control and simulation, a simulation, signal generation. Here we have sine signal generator. Okay, we can double click on this. We can configure its parameter. So I'm going to configure it from terminal. So I'll change it to terminal so that I can control it from LabVIEW. Okay, so here I have terminal for amplitude and frequency. What I can do is I'm going to take a knob. Okay, amplitude, and let me take one more knob. This I'm going to keep it as frequency. I think so someone have message, just let me check it. Okay, no one. Okay, so let me proceed with it. Okay, so amplitude, let it be 0 to 10, and frequency start from 1 to 1000. Okay, so now I have to connect these two input for my sine signal. Okay, amplitude and a frequency. Okay, so amplitude to amplitude and frequency to frequency. Okay, so this block will generate a sine waveform. So this I'm going to provide as input for my converter, like a rectifier. Okay, so next I'll be getting the output from my circuit. Okay, once I run this program, what will happen is sine signal we are generating in LabVIEW. Okay, the sine signal we are passing to this block. So what will happen, whatever the sine signal we are generating, right, it will come to MATLAB, sorry, multisim. Okay, so it will come to a multisim. Okay, so that input signal will come to multisim and will pass through our components and it will generate output signal. Okay, to measure the output signal, we have an output connector. Here we can have a graph to visualize the signal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is here I'm going to take a graph. So I'll right click. I can go to control and simulation, graph utilities. I'm going to take sine time waveform. I can connect this output data. Okay. So if you want to visualize input data also, what I can do is we can insert one more block. Just a minute, it's just loading. Insert all palette. I can simply take a bundle function. Here I can connect my sine waveform. Sorry. build array function. Yeah. So now in a single waveform graph, I'm going to display my sine signal along with my output signal. Okay, so we'll just see it. Here I have my output waveform. Initially, I'll provide some amplitude and frequency. Okay, so once I run, it will take some time to start the simulation. As it is a simulation, right? It has to call my a multisim file. It will take some time to do that. Okay, so I'll just run this. Yeah, forgot few things, like I have to configure. We have to configure this control and simulation loop. Okay, if you double tap. Okay, so here we have something as simulation time. Okay, simulations time 0, starting time 0, and end time 10 seconds, which means if I run my program after 10 seconds, my program or my simulation will stop automatically. Okay, if you want to run until you decide to stop, what is supposed to do is final time you need to change it as infinite. Okay, final time we need to change it as infinite. Then to control your loop, okay, we need to add a halt simulation function. Okay, so this will be used to halt stop the simulation, and for this I'm going to create a control. Okay, by pressing this button we can stop our simulation. Okay, let me run this. Okay, as I already told you, it will take some time to start the simulation. Yes, it started plotting. So let me enable the auto scale. So we can able to see we are getting our output. Okay, and in this you can able to notice we are getting uh, only the positive obstacle. So we are not getting the negative obstacle. So if you vary the input signal frequency or amplitude, right, it will affect in your output signal also. So in this, the thing which you need to keep in your mind is our components, like our electrical electronic component, right? All those components are in a multisim. The input for our circuit, okay, so our circuit will be in multisim. Input and visualization, right? Everything we are going to do from LabVIEW. So once if you are completed, you don't need to keep your multisim open also. Okay, you can simply close this. Okay, I think so. This is a different. Okay, so those are all different one. Okay, you don't need to keep everything open. You can close this. Okay, so just here we have to. We need to have our multisim design file. Okay, if we have it, we can call that, or we can call our multisim design in LabVIEW, and we can provide an input, and we can take output. Okay, so yes, in this, if people have any doubt, you can ask in this LabVIEW co-simulation part. Okay, so sorry, my internet is disconnected. So we can just continue now. Okay, so I'll just share my system screen again. And meanwhile, if we have any doubt in the previous concept, you can just ask now. Okay, fine then. Let me proceed with the next module. Okay, so we'll just see one more example. Okay, one more example with this LabVIEW co-simulation. Then we can move with the next concept. Okay, so I'll just minimize this. Okay, and I can stop this code also. So to stop this, just I need to press halt. Okay. So I have told you one use case of this LabVIEW multisim co-simulation is to provide a control signal for a converter, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. So let me take a very simple converter. First, we'll complete the design in multisim. Okay. So file, new. Let me design. Let me open a blank design. Okay, so yes, so we can do a DC to DC chopper. Okay, so that will be a very simple one. Okay, so for a DC to DC chopper, for storage purpose, we need to use an inductor. And then we'll be using a diode, and then we'll be using one transistor. Okay, so here input, right? Our input source, it is going to, I'm going to provide from LabVIEW only. Okay, the fixed input voltage, but the controls strategy, right, that I'm going to provide from LabVIEW. So first, let me take what all the components required for a DC to DC chopper. So already I have one configuration. Okay, I'm going to make for that configuration only. Okay, so you can just, for example, I can show you if I can see. I can show you that configuration. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I don't know where exactly it is. Okay, let me try to search it. Yeah, so here I have it. Okay, so here actually I have one configuration, but I'll directly show this. Okay, so yes, there is one website. Okay, so this is the website with which we can able to identify the proper rating for every components. Okay, so I have already made it. Okay, so for my input voltage 12 to 14 volt, and I required output voltage of 20 to 28, and the output current of 1.5 and a ripple of 0.1. If these all my requirement. Okay, once we specify the requirement, our output component ratings, right, will be getting like this. Like if I want to get the output, so my duty cycle of my trigger signal, like the gate signal, right, I should provide between 30 to 57. Okay, and the inductor value I should specify 38. Okay, if 38 is not available, we can go with the nearest value. Okay, and then a peak inductor current is again it's specified as 6 amp. Then here we'll be using a capacitor, so we have to specify the capacitor value. So the capacitor value we have specifying around 500, like the calculated value is 500. We can use a nearest one, and here we'll be using a diode. Okay, just to avoid the reverse bias. Okay, So the diode rating, it should be 28 volt and 6 amps. Okay, for this, this is the circuit. Okay, that we are going to recreate the same circuit. Okay, so fine. Let me just minimize it. I can come back to MATLAB. Okay, so first I'm going to take an inductor. Okay, so as I already told you, if we don't have a exact value, we can go for a nearest one. Okay, so we got around 38 something, right? I don't have any rating as 38.8 microhenry. So what I can do is I can go for a 40 microhenry. So I can put it as can use 40 microhenry. Then for the current, like the current and voltage rating, what they specified the Schottky diode, the corresponding model is MBRB 104. Sorry, I have to change to all group. So there is a diode 1BRB B1045 G. Okay, so this is Schottky diode which avoids the reverse bias. Okay, then we need a MOSFET. So I'll just type the MOSFET model number. Okay, IRF 3205. Okay, so let me take and I can place this. Apart from this, just we need a capacitor for a filter. So the capacitor, I need to go to basic capacitor. The rated one is 500, but the nearest one is only 680. Okay, so I can use 680 microfarad. I can place it over here. And I can rotate this. Okay, then as for a load, I'm going to connect, I need a resistor. So I can take a resistor. Let me take a very low rating, like I'm going to take a 20 ohm resistor for load. Okay, and the same way we'll be connecting a PWM. For PWM also we need to connect a very minimal load. Okay, so I'm going to take a 10 ohm resistor, and then we need a PWM block. So I'm just going to search as PWM, and I'm going to use a PWM block. Okay, in a PWM, only the duty cycle will be providing from a LabVIEW. Okay, so only duty cycle, right, will be providing from LabVIEW. The remaining thing will be like the input source, everything, right, we are providing in a multisim only. Okay, and the very important thing I forgot, source, like we need to have a DC power and we need to have a ground. Okay, so I just taken all the required components. Okay, so now we'll can give a connection among those components. Okay, I can just rotate this one also. Okay, from source we can connect to diode, inductor, then inductor to diode, then resistor, okay, then for storing, like in a boost converter, the use of inductor is to store the current when this switch is turned on. When this switch is turned off, to for the output we'll get inductor current plus actual voltage, like inductor voltage plus the actual voltage. So that is how we are getting more voltage. Okay, so that is the working of this circuit. Okay, so here I can connect this, and capacitor I'll just connect over here, and I can connect the ground. So this is a gate terminal. For gate terminal we have to provide a duty cycle in for duty cycle, even in duty cycle, sorry, we have to provide a PWM signal, like a gate signal. Okay, even for that, from lab view, I'm going to control the duty cycle. Okay, so apart from that, remaining all are same. Okay, so I'm not going to change anything over here. So yes, so here everything is same. So we have placed everything. So now in lab view, okay, in lab view, what are the things I'm going to measure is I'm going to see what is my input voltage, and I want to see what is my output voltage. And for my circuit, I have to provide a duty cycle, right? For that, I have to place a connector. Okay, so these are the place where we need to place a connector. So I can go to place connectors and input connector. So I can just place it over here. This name I can give it as DC, which means duty cycle, and I can directly connect it. So now in lab view, I want to measure input voltage and output voltage. Okay, so what I can do is I can go to place connector. I'm going to take output connectors. So this is actually V in. Okay, and then I can make a copy of this. So here we have to measure the output voltage. This I'm going to give a name as V out. Okay, so here we have done anything. So I forgot to give a connection here. Yes, even that connection is over. Okay, so here the thing is we have designed a circuit for chopper. So from lab view, what we are going to do is we are going to specify the duty cycle of a signal. Okay, we are just going to specify a duty cycle of a signal, and based on the duty cycle, PWM will be generated here, and input voltage and output voltage we are going to visualize from lab view. Okay, so that's it. So I'll just save this one file, save, and I can put it as chopper. Okay, so now in lab view, I have to create a virtual environment first. Control and simulation. Let me place this control and simulation loop. Okay, so here I need to call my multisim design. So I can take my multisim design and I can place it over here. So I have to choose my chopper. Okay, so first I'm going to take a control for duty cycle. Okay, I can take a knob. This I can specify as DC duty cycle. This I can connect to my duty cycle block. Okay, then this input voltage and output voltage, right? Both I'm going to visualize in a single waveform graph. So I can go to simulation, graph utilities, sine time waveform. To display both signal in a single waveform graph, I need a build array. Okay, I can connect this. Okay, so now if I run, okay, so it will take some time to start the simulation. Okay, so this is just a voltage. Okay, better I'll enable. Okay, so duty cycle range should be between 0 to 1. Okay, so this is blue color is actually my input voltage and red color is my output voltage. Okay, by varying the duty cycle, you can able to see I can able to vary my output voltage. Okay, so basically its functionality is here. So not this one, I think so. Yeah. Yes. When the switch is on, okay, when the switch is on, our DC input, right, that will store that energy will be stored in an inductor. Okay, when switch is off, this will become open circuit. Okay, the energy stored in the inductor as well as my input voltage both will flow through the load. That is the reason we are getting a more voltage in a load. Okay, and here the very key point is, if I keep, okay, if I keep my MOSFET on for a very long time, okay, if I keep my MOSFET on
And submit
very,
your copy. You have to complete your submission process within 1:30. It's already 1 minute extra that you have taken. Complete your
hello.
stop your writing and complete your submission process.
Hello, someone has unmuted your mic. Just mute yours.
Okay.
Priyanka, Priyanka Datta.
Kuntal and Subhashish. Okay.
Priyanka Datta, can you hear me?
Hoito is not there. Oyon Nundi, stop writing.
Priyanka Datta, can you hear me? Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, Chaitanya, I don't know which part you're asking. Can you tell me which one you're asking? Either a multisim one or a LabVIEW one? And I don't know whether you are speaking about chopper or converter. Can you tell me which one so that I can explain, like a rectifier or chopper? Chaitanya. Yeah, I can share you the link. That is not a problem. Software link, right? I can share you. Now it may not be possible. At the end of the session, right? I can share you the link. And Chaitanya, I don't know which one you are saying. Okay, so just put it in the chat box. Okay, I can later I can check and I can explain you again. Okay, so yes, so in this circuit, this is the actual working. Okay, so if you want to understand even better, I can make you clear. So what happens is, if the duty cycle, you know what exactly this duty cycle means. Okay, if the duty cycle is 0, which indicates on time is 0 and on time is off time is max. Okay, if I slowly increase this, what happens? Off time will be keep decreasing, on time will slowly increase. Okay, if I specify around some 0.5 or 0.7, okay, you can able to see we are getting maximum voltage, which means during the on time we are storing the maximum power, during the off time we are providing that to load. Okay, if I increase on time by increasing the duty cycle, what happens? After certain point, my output voltage will start decrease. Okay, here you can able to see, yeah, after 0.8 or something, you can able to see my output voltage, it started decreasing. The reason is we are providing or we are making our circuit only to charge. Okay, we are making our circuit only to charge, we are not discharging itself. Okay, the stored energy, right, it will get discharged only when my MOSFET is off. Okay, so you are not giving enough duration to off. If I increase this even more, you can able to see my output voltage is will completely reducing. Okay, it is because we are not giving enough time to discharge. Okay, so it is always recommend to give between a zero point 0.5 to 0.7 if you want to obtain a more voltage. Okay, so yes, so this is about LabVIEW and multisim co-simulation. So no one is there. Okay, fine. So I can just tell you how exactly it works. Okay, in a multisim, we'll be designing our circuit part. Okay, in a multisim, we'll be designing a circuit part. Input, if you want to give any input from LabVIEW, okay, then we can go for LabVIEW and we can give an input. Okay, so yes, this is about the multisim and LabVIEW co-simulation. So now what I can do is I can show you a few examples. Like I thought to show you with a multisim, but I feel I can directly show you the same with actual hardware. Like I can show you the testing of a diode. Okay, so like a VA characteristics of diode with respect to hardware. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a hardware connection. So the hardware connection is we'll be having a diode. Okay, so to the diode we are going to provide an input. Okay, better I can show you what exactly the circuit in multisim. Okay, file new blank. I'm going to give the same circuit now. Okay, so I'll right click. So here I can place a component. So I'll go to all group, or instead of this, I can create a multisim design. Okay, so here we are going to have a diode. So I'll place the diode which I have 1N4007 GP. Okay, so this is the diode which I have. Okay, so for this I have to give a input. Okay, so for input I'm going to provide from analog output 0. Okay, here I'm going to add a resistor. I'll tell you why. Okay, so I'm going to add a resistor. I'm adding resistors just to measure a current. Okay, so I'll go to basic. I'm going to use I have 1 kilo ohm resistor, right? I can add 1 kilo ohm resistor. So that is the resistor I have. So I can add the same. Okay, so this I can just rotate it. Okay, so now we are going to plot VI characteristics of diode. Okay, so we are going to plot VI characteristics of diode. For that, first what I supposed to do, I have to measure voltage drop across the diode, right? So to measure the voltage drop across the diode, I'm going to use 0 plus channel. Okay, so I'm going to use 0 channel to measure a voltage drop across the diode. Then I need to measure the current. So here the problem is I can't measure the current directly. Okay, so instead what I can do is here I'm going to add a resistor. Okay, so I know this resistor value, and if I measure voltage across the resistor, we'll get to know resistor value and voltage value. By applying a Ohm's law, what I can do is I can calculate a current in LabVIEW. Okay, actually we are going to measure voltage across the resistor. Okay, so after measuring the voltage across the resistor, I'll get to know the voltage across the resistor and the resistor value. Then using a Ohm's law, I can easily obtain the current flowing through my circuit or current flowing through my diode. Okay, so to do that, I just need to measure voltage drop across the resistor. For that, this should be the connection. Like I'm connecting G1 plus and 1 minus between resistor. Okay. So the same connection I'm going to provide in my circuit also. I'll just remove my existing circuit. I can show you in a cam. Okay, so that is not a big issue, but I'm going to design the same circuit. Okay, So I can come back here. I can just enable the camera. So I'll remove all these components. Okay. So yes, just we need a diode and a resistor. Okay. So now we are going to plot a VA characteristics for diode. Okay. So first let me provide an input for my diode. So this is my analog output 0, which will be used to generate a signal. Okay. So analog output 0, which will be used to generate a signal. So this I'm going to connect to my diode. Okay. So diode anode terminal. Okay. Then I want to measure a voltage drop across the diode. So 0 channel I'm going to connect parallel to my diode. Okay. Then channel 1 I need to connect parallel to the resistor. Okay, so finally I need to connect the ground. I have connected the ground terminal to resistor. Okay, so we have completed the connection part. Okay, so I have completed the connection. So with this, we are going to plot a VA characteristics for this diode. Okay, so actually in simulation we have a method. Okay, in a simulation what we can do is we can provide a DC sweep analysis. Okay, using a DC sweep analysis we can give a different like variable voltage and we can plot it. For example, I can just okay, now I can't show you. Okay, have an example with that I can show you. Okay, I have a code, ready-made code. With that I can show you. As of now I'm going to show you from LabVIEW. Okay, so in LabVIEW what I'm going to do is we have this hardware, right? Like I can just show you here. We have this hardware, right? MyDAC hardware. I'm going to access this MyDAC hardware's IO from LabVIEW. Okay, I hope yesterday you have seen some few programs, right? So it is like just a continuation of it. Okay, so I'm going to access IOs of this MyDAC hardware from a LabVIEW, and I'm going to generate the signal, and then I'm going to read back the signal. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do now. So let's see how we can do this. So let me come back to block diagram. Okay, so first thing is I need to generate signal. If you want to plot a VA characteristics, first I need to give input for my diode, right? So I want to generate signal. So I'll right click. I'm going to measurement IO, NI DAC MX. Here we have a DAC assistant. Okay, using this function only, I'm going to generate a voltage. So it will take some time for initialization. Okay, so it is initialized. So next I need to choose, I'm going to use my hardware for acquisition or generation. Okay, now I'm going to configure for generation, right? So I'll choose generate analog output. I'm going to generate voltage. Then I need to choose through which channel I'm going to generate it. Okay, so I'm going to generate through analog output 0. Okay, so here you can able to see this red color wire. Okay, so this red color wire I have taken from analog output 0. Okay, so this red color wire, right? I have taken from analog output 0. I have provided to my DAC. So I must need to select analog output 0, then finish. Okay, so here generation mode, I'm going to generate a single voltage only. Okay, so I can simply choose one sample and I can click OK. Okay, Okay, so now this block, this DAC assistant, right? This can able to generate a signal. Okay, so this block can be able to generate a signal, but now I need to specify which signal I'm going to generate. Okay, so I said like this is the function which is going to generate, right? To this function, I need to say what signal I need to generate. So now we are going to give step signal as a or ramp signal as input. Okay, so I'll go to where is signal processing? Yeah, signal processing, signal generation. I'm going to use this ramp pattern. So using this function, I'm going to generate a ramp data. Ramp data in the sense we'll specify what is the start value and end value and difference between start and end value. Okay. So for example, I can just run and show you. Okay. Start, I'm going to give a constant as 0. End value, let me specify as some 4 volt. Okay, then delta value, okay, so I'm going to specify 0.05. Okay, which means it will start generating a voltage from 0, then it will go to 0.05, 0.1, then 0.15. So my voltage value, right, it will be keep incrementing by 0.05. Okay, so if you want to understand even better, I can create indicator and I can show you. So like what are the value which we are going to generate. Okay, if I expand this and if I run, you can able to see 0, 0.05, 0.1, and it will stop once it reaches 40. Okay. Sorry, once it reaches 4. Okay, so I have specified end value as 4, right? So I'm going to generate from 0 volt to 4 volt and the incremental value is 0.05. Okay, so this data I have to pass to my DAC. Okay, but a very important thing is I have to pass each value one by one. Okay, so that is the key point. So to pass each value one by one, I'm going to use a for loop. Okay, so this data I can connect it to for loop. So inside of for loop, each data will pass one by one. Okay, I can just show you if you want to see or if you want to visualize it, I can just show you that. Okay, give 500. Okay, as of now, I can connect this directly. Here, I'm going to create an indicator. So in this numeric, you can able to see the value will start from 0 and the value will increment by 0.5. And once it reaches 4, it will stop. Okay, I can run. Can able to see it is slowly incrementing. Okay, so once it reaches 4, right, it will stop. Why? Because in this array I have a data till 4 only. So this data we are providing to the DAC assistant. So this DAC assistant will generate these voltages at analog output 0 point. Okay, actually those voltages, right, will be getting at this point. Okay, channel 0, and channel 0 is connected to our diode. Okay, so it is actually coming at this red color wire. Okay, it is connected to the anode of our diode. Okay, so yes, so we are providing the input. So next we need to measure, okay, we need to measure a voltage drop across the diode and we need to measure the current, right? So for that, again, we are going to use the same DAC assistant. Right click, I can go to measurement IO, NI DAC MX and DAC assistant. So now I want to acquire a data. Okay, before we generated a data, for generation we use AO, okay, analog output. Now I want to acquire a data, so I'll go to acquire signal, analog input. First, let me configure for voltage. Okay, voltage I'm going to configure with analog input 0, finish. Okay, so this will be used to measure the voltage, and analog input 1 is configured for measuring a current, right? So I can click add, I can go for current. So here I can choose analog input 1. Okay, And here we have to specify the shunt resistance value. So here actually we are measuring the current by placing the resistor, right? So we have to specify whether the shunt resistance is internal or external. Actually we are using a external resistor, and we need to specify what is the resistor value. The resistor value is 1K, and just we can click OK. Okay, so this block will be used to measure voltage and current. Okay, so I'll just connect the error wire. So I have to acquire a data after generating the signal only. To ensure the data flow, I'm connecting this error wire. And from this terminal, we are going to measure voltage and current. Okay, so here I'll just right click. I'm going to use index array function. And we are going to get voltage and current separately. Okay, so next what we're supposed to do is we have to create array of this voltage and current. Okay, then I'm going to make a bundle of this information. So voltage and then current, and this information I'm going to plot it on XY graph. Okay, so this information I'm going to plot it on XY graph. I can just pass it over here. Okay, so if I run, okay, so I have given a delay, right? Okay, it will take some time to plot, okay, because we have to provide voltage from 0 to 1. Actually, we could able to remove that value. Okay, so once it is done, I'll show you why it is taking more time. Okay, so because I have manually provided a delay. Okay, so till now we have provided till 3 volt. So it will stop once we provided till 4 volt. Okay. Yes. So actually x-axis is voltage and y-axis is current. Okay, so actually what we are seeing here, right, is actually the forward bias graph of a diode. Okay, so we are slowly increasing the voltage. There won't be any change in current. Okay, once it reaches its breakdown voltage, current will increase drastically. Okay, so we don't need to give till 4 also. If I give very less voltage, right, even that will be enough. Like even if I give 0 to 1, right, even that will be sufficient. And this is the reason why we got a delay. Okay, so now if I run, we'll quickly give a voltage, and we are providing the voltage and we are measuring the current. This just we are testing whether diode is working properly by performing a forward bias. Okay, so if the same thing if you want to do in laboratories, like in your college, or if the students want to do the laboratories, what they will do, they'll be manually changing the voltage value. Like first they'll set 0 volt, then they'll set 0.1 volt and they'll measure the current, then they'll set 0.2 volt, then they'll measure the current. So like this they'll be doing manually, right? So when it comes to lab view, we don't need to do like that. Okay, so just we can specify what should be the range, okay, like 0 to 1, and what should be the delta in the sense incremental value. We can generate that value, and we can use one more DAC assistant to measure input voltage and output voltage. We can directly plot a graph like this. Okay, so even if you want to store, or if you want to save this graph as an image, even that is possible. Like after plotting that, they have to prepare a report, right? So for that, again, they'll manually draw this. Okay, so think that you don't want to manually draw it. So instead, if you want to save as a picture directly, you can right click. You can, there is some functionality like invoke node. Okay, so here we have an option called export image. So using this, we can able to export the final plot. Okay, so just to do this, I want to execute this in a sequence. So this one I can put it in the first frame. Okay. So why I'm doing like this, because first I need to plot the data in graph. After that, I need to save my information. Okay. So that is the reason I'm giving this connection. And if we give this one is not required. Okay. So here we can specify the file type. Like as I'm saving as an image, we can specify what should be the extension of an image. Okay. Let me save it as picture format. And target in the sense whether you want to just copy or you want to create as a file. Path, if you want, we can specify, else after executing the program it will ask us to save it. Okay, better we'll save it manually. So if you run, it will plot. Okay, once it is plotted, 1 second. I don't know what is the image problem is. So I think so there is some problem with exporting. Okay, I'll try to run this again, or I'll try with clipboard and BMP. Better I'll try to specify the path. Actually, it should create automatically. Okay, so I'll just give a name as new.bmp. Let me click save. Okay, I'll just run this again. Yeah. So maybe file path may be the problem. Okay. So now as we added a new block, okay, we can able to see what happened. Okay, so it is actually copied to clipboard. Okay, so if you want to get it, you can open any document. Is I have choose as clipboard, which means it is like copy. Okay, if you choose as file, it will create a file. Let me check. So you'll be getting your data. Okay, you can copy and paste it. So I don't know, maybe the problem with file only. We'll just check. The file, even file is working. I don't know what was the issue before. Okay, you can able to see a new image is created. So that image will have the information about a graph. So we don't need to plot it manually. Okay, so if you know how to work with this LabVIEW and all those options, right, you can say what should be the voltages, like starting and ending voltage. Okay, then we can measure the required parameters. You can plot it in a graph. Okay, you can plot it in a graph. It will automatically plot it. To add this graph in a report, what you can do is you can simply save this graph information as image. You can add it to your report. Okay, so it will actually reduce the workload. Okay, so yes, in this code, if you people have any doubt, you can just ask. So just a simple thing. Okay, so even in industries, okay, even in the industries, if they want to test any component, they'll follow the same thing. Okay, they'll not manually change the value, nothing. Okay, so everything will be an automated test equipment. They'll set every range, they'll keep the component. Okay, if we get a proper output, then the component is tested properly. Okay, or component pass the test. Okay, if you are not getting a proper output, it means there is some issue with the component. They'll move those component for a recycling. Okay, so this is how usually in industries they'll perform testing. They'll not do a manual test. Okay, everything will be an ATE, automated test equipment. Okay, so yes, when you want to have a doubt, the current one, the current code, you can ask now. Okay, fine then. Okay, so now I have one sensor. Okay, so I have a sensor. I can able to see. I can show you. Okay, so this is the sensor. Okay, so this is actually an IR sensor. Okay, so you can able to see, right? This is actually an IR sensor. This will be used to measure at distance. Okay, so this sensor is used to measure a distance, and this sensor, right? This is an analog sensor. Output of the sensor will be in analog. Okay, and for this sensor, you can able to notice it has 3 wires. Okay, red and black color wire, right? It is actually a supply for your sensor. Okay, to work with the sensor, we need to provide some input, right? So this red and black color wire indicates input for this sensor, and yellow color wire is actually the output from the sensor. Okay, so it will give an output voltage. In LabVIEW, we manually have to convert it as distance. Okay, so manually we need to convert it as distance. So I'll just show you this, like interfacing a sensor part with this hardware. Okay, so first I'll show you the connection. Okay, so I'll remove the existing connections. Okay, the first step is I have to provide input for my sensor, right? So to provide an input in your DAC, you can able to see okay, there is a 5-volt terminal. Okay, in your this one, the last one, right? That is actually a 5-volt terminal. Actually, it is mirrored in a camera. It is coming as a mirrored one.
ಕಡೆಗೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏಣಿ ತುಂಬದ ನಂತರದಷ್ಟು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲ, ಕಂಬ ತುಂಬಿಡ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಹಾ, ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ ಮೇಲೆ.
And Dayanand, actually, you have unmuted. Dayanand, can you mute it? Yeah, thank you. So yes, so first I have to provide input for my sensor. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me take a wire, and this wire I'll connect it to 5-volt. Okay, so yes, for the 5-volt, there will be a reference terminal, right? That reference terminal is this digital ground. I'll give connection for this digital ground also. Okay, so now we have a input. So what I can do is this wire, I can connect it to red. Okay, next we have to measure the signal. So to measure the signal, 0 plus, I'm going to connect it to yellow, and 0 minus, I'm going to connect it to black. Okay, so actually that black color wire, right? It is a common reference for my input as well as output. So 0 minus, like the black color wire, it should connect to 0 minus as well as to ground. So those connection I can give it in DAC. Okay, the internal short circuit, right? That I can give here. So just a minute. Yes, I have given every connection. So let me keep little far. Okay, so here we have our sensor. Okay, so we have completed the connection. So the connection is very simple for our sensor. Okay, we just need to provide a supply, and using an analog input, I'm measuring the output from the sensor. Okay, so even programming is also very simple, just a single block, that's it. Okay, so here I can just create a new VI. Okay, here I can in a block diagram I can just right click, vision and motion, sorry, measurement IO, NI DAC MX, DAC assistant. Now I want to acquire a data. So I'll go to acquire signal, analog input, voltage. I need to choose my DAC and the channel. Okay, so here just a one sample. Let me click OK. So now this block is just to configure to measure the data. Okay. Here I'm going to have an indicator, and I can connect it directly connected to the indicator. And for continuous execution, I'm going to use a loop, and I'll be specifying some delay. Create constant. So programming part is that's it. Okay, just we need to acquire data. For acquisition, I'm using this. That's it. Okay. So now we can come for this logic. Okay, so actually, just a minute. Actually, there is a conversion parameter. I'm not aware of it as of now. Just give me a minute. I'll just check what is the conversion parameter is. For this sensor, there is a conversion parameter. I'll just check what exactly its value. Meanwhile, if people have any doubt, you can just ask. Okay, so I don't know what is the conversion for this sensor. Okay, as of now. Okay, so actually it will be a inverted one. Okay, I can just show you. We are measuring as voltage. Yeah, so let me place both parallelly, and I can just share my screen. Yes. So let me place it like this. Okay, so now there is no obstacle. Okay, so it is just facing the roof. Okay, my sensor is just facing the roof. Okay, I'm just trying to bring my hand. Okay, it is not coming inside the frame, right? I'll just keep little far. Yeah, so here I have my sensor. Okay, you can able to see my sensor is just facing the roof. Okay, sensor is just facing the roof. There is no obstacle. So now my voltage value was around 0.33. Okay, so now I'll just bring my hand near to the sensor. Okay, once my hand is very getting near to my sensor. Okay, wait, yeah. So now I can able to cover huge range. Okay, now you can able to see it was around 1.2. Okay, even if I bring my hand even close to my sensor, you can able to see this voltage value is keep increasing. Okay, so if I come very close, you can able to see we'll be getting around 3 volt, 3.1. Okay, so the higher voltage we get, right, it indicates the obstacle or the object is very near to the sensor. Okay, so this is actually IR rangefinder. This sensor name is IR rangefinder. Actually, there is a calibration value for converting from voltage to distance in centimeter. I just can't able to recollect it. So if I know those values, right, I could able to show you the value or the conversion from voltage to distance also. So let me just check what is that value. If I could able to get it, I can show you that. Okay, so meanwhile, people have anything to ask regarding the hardware interface or co-simulation, you can just unmute and you can ask, or you can put it in the chat box. Okay, so fine then. Yes, so as of now, we have seen, okay, like we have started with environment about multisim, then we have seen multisim hardware co-simulation, then multisim LabVIEW co-simulation, okay, then we have seen hardware interface with LabVIEW, right? So still one more topic which is pending, like different analysis available in multisim. Okay, so we have one more concept called different analysis available in multisim. I can just show you. So let me open some code. Okay, so here, if I go to simulate, okay, simulate, analysis and simulation. Okay, so these are the different analysis which we can do with our circuit, simulated circuit, like DC operating point, AC sweep, transient, DC sweep analysis, then single frequency AC, parameter sweep. Okay, so these are all different analysis which are available. So you know the use case of every analysis, right? A DC operating point analysis, in the sense we'll set a specific DC point and we'll try to vary another parameter and we'll check how exactly it works. Okay, like we'll choose some parameter like the output parameter and we'll be keep measuring only that parameter. Okay, so AC sweep, in the sense we just need to specify the input frequency and outputs, like the starting frequency and ending frequency of our input, and then we'll specify what should be the output parameter we need to read, and we'll be reading that parameter. So DC sweep, in the sense, will be varying the voltage itself. Okay, so each analysis has its own functionality. So instead of developing the code, already I have developed the code for each and every analysis. Okay, I can just open and I can show you. So before that, let me check. Someone has messaged, I think so. Yeah. Okay, so you can just reach me, like this is my contact number, and just send me your requirement to my mail ID. Okay, so this is my mail ID. Okay, just send your, or if you have any requirement, right, just send your requirement to this mail ID so that I can forward to the corresponding person with respect to your requirement. Okay, so principal BIT. Okay, so yes, whatever requirement you have, right, either you can talk to me, or you can, if you have a detailed requirement, you can send your requirement to my mail ID. I can forward to the corresponding team. They can they'll contact you regarding your requirement. Okay, so yes, we can get back to the concept. Okay, so these are all the different analysis available. Okay, So I don't want to waste my time for designing the circuit for an analysis. Already I have a code for every analysis. Okay, so I'll just show you. So let me just open a DC sweep analysis for Xena. Sorry, already many codes are open. Okay, so I'll just close all the unwanted modules. Okay, so now I'll just try to open it. Yes, here. Okay, sorry. The design is very simple. Okay, so the design just have taken a Xena diode, and here you can able to see we are going to perform reverse bias of Xena diode. Okay, we know how exactly a reverse bias of Xena diode works, right? To certain point, the voltage will increase. Okay, after that the voltage will get saturated, right? So to ensure, okay, to ensure we are going to perform a reverse bias, here you can able to see I have connected my diode in a reverse direction. Okay, so I have connected my diode in a reverse direction. So which means even if I provide a voltage, right, it indicates we are providing and we are going to perform a reverse bias. Okay, so in this, for this I'm going to perform DC sweep analysis, which means I'm going to provide a DC voltage slowly and I'm going to plot the graph. Okay, so to do that I just need to go to simulate, analysis and simulation. So I have selected DC sweep. Okay, here you can able to see say what should be my variable parameter. Okay, here I'm going to vary my voltage 1. Okay, so here I'm going to vary my voltage 1, and the voltage I'm going to start from 0 and I'm going to stop at 12 volt, and the incremental voltage like 0, 0.1, 0.2, like the incremental, the differential value, right, that we need to specify on increment. Okay, so I have specified as 0.1 over here. Okay, next I need to say which parameter I'm going to measure, right? So I can come to output. Okay, so here I'm going to measure diode voltage. Okay, so here I'm going to measure diode voltage, and the same way if you want to measure some other parameter like resistor current or resistor voltage, whatever parameter you want to measure, right, you can just click and you can add. Okay, for example, as of now I'm going to plot for a resistor also better. Okay, I'll do that later. Okay, so let it be like this. Okay, I'm going to plot my graph between input voltage and diode voltage. Okay, if I click run, so we'll be getting a plot. Actually this should be a negative voltage. Okay, as I have connected as in a reverse direction, it is coming in a positive. Okay, just imagine it is a negative voltages. Okay, like you should consider this as a third quarter. Okay, as of now it is plotting in a first quarter of my graph, right? Actually this should be your third quarter of your waveform. Okay, just invert it so that you can able to understand in a better way. Like as I'm providing a negative voltage, even in my diode will be getting a voltage decreases. After certain point there won't be any change in a voltage, it will get saturated at some point. Okay, so this will be calling as DC sweep analysis. Like we'll be providing a variable voltage and we'll be measuring some parameter and we'll plot a data. Okay, and the same way we have AC sweep analysis. So AC sweep analysis will do for low pass filter, so which we know already. Okay, which we done with a hardware. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same with analysis. Okay, so analysis and simulation. So again the same thing. So start frequency is 1 hertz, end frequency is 10 kilohertz. The output parameter we are going to measure output voltage. Okay, so if I run, we'll be getting the same data like magnitude and phase. Okay, whatever we have seen before, right? The same thing we are getting over here. Okay, so till 158, okay, till 158 hertz will be getting a proper magnitude. After that, it will completely decrease it. Okay, in the same way, we have different analysis, okay, as per our requirement. Okay, like for your circuit, if you want to perform analysis, right, you can go for the corresponding analysis. Okay, you can perform that analysis. Okay, so if it is a transient analysis, more or less the same thing. Okay, we'll just specify the start time and end time, and output will specify the required parameter, and we'll get the transient analysis. Okay, so this is one more feature which we have with this multisim. Okay, and even in yesterday's session or today's session, mostly we have focused only about this electrical, right? Actually, this lab view is not limited only to electrical. Okay, its use case is so vast. For example, I can show you from lab view. Okay, so when I come to lab view, this lab view tool, right, it can be used for several domains. Like this lab view can be used for image processing. Okay, like if I go to vision and motion, right, here I have an option to use for functions to use for image processing, like morphology and pattern matching, from basic to advanced image processing concept. Okay, with LabVIEW we can able to perform image processing stuff. Then we have a signal processing. Okay, then we have a communication, like if you want to work with some protocols like RS-232, 484, or CAN, and if you want to communicate with cloud like IoT, okay, even this LabVIEW, right, it supports IoT kind of applications. Okay, and this hardware, like this LabVIEW, right, it supports RF also. Okay, like AM, FM. So for that you just need to have an appropriate hardware. Okay, so this is the hardware which we use, right, that is NI MIDAC. That hardware can be used only for simple data acquisition. Apart from that, we have some other hardware which will be having a use case of different domains for RF or something else. Okay, and then we can use this for biomedical. Okay, we can use this for biomedical based application, and we can use the same for machine learning, deep learning. Okay, so we can able to apply machine learning algorithm and deep learning algorithm. Okay, so as I already said, LabVIEW, actually the tagline of this National Instrument, right, a single software which provides a solution for every engineering problem. Okay, it is not meant only for electrical or E&I, nothing like that. Okay, so this LabVIEW, right, can be used for every department. Okay, it is not restricted only to a single domain. It has a vast domain cases. Okay, so yes, with this I think I can close my session. Okay, if people have anything to ask regarding the today's session, you can raise your queries, or you want to have any requirement, you can just ask now. Meanwhile, I can get the link for LabVIEW. Okay, if people have anything to ask, or if you have any questions or any queries to ask, right, you can just ask now, so I can clarify your queries. Okay, so whatever I'm sharing, right, this is actually a 7-day trial version. Okay, so there is one more option called LabVIEW Community Edition. If you make use of this LabVIEW Community Edition, right, that is a free version. That LabVIEW Community Edition is a free version. But if you want to get that software, you need to register manually. Like you have to provide your mail ID and you have to provide your details. Only then you can able to get access to the community edition. The link which I am sharing now, right, this is an professional edition. To make use of this a software, you need to purchase it. Okay, but you can use this hardware. Initially, you can use for 14 days. Then you can extend it for another 45 days. Like this software, you can make use for 2 months without any license. Okay, if you want to download a free version, you have to download LabVIEW Community Edition. That one you have to download separately. Okay, so I can't able to get the link. Just a second. So now I'll just share you the professional edition link. Okay. So copy link. I can just put it over here. So using this, you can download LabVIEW Professional Edition. There is a free version. For that, you just need to search as LabVIEW Community Edition. Okay, to download this, you have to provide your details. So once you download this, right, you can use this for lifetime. Okay, so this is a free edition. Okay, so you have to create an account. Only then you can able to download it. Okay, so yes. So now, if you have anything to ask, you can ask now. So we have came to the end of the session. If you have any queries or something, if you have anything to ask, you can just ask. And again, I'll just I'll share my detail again. Just I'll create a new slide. Okay, so in future, if you have any requirement, right, you can reach me. Okay, so I'll be helping you to assist you. Okay. Okay, so fine then. So thank you all for attending this session, and thank you for inviting me to deliver a session in this FDP program. So over to you, sir. You can take the session.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
It was very nice session. So, dear participants, so this is the end of second session. Now we will meet at 3 o'clock, and it will be very interesting session after lots of technical exercise. We will relax with Sahaj Yoga. Shri Gauravji with us for stress management session. So, please join at 3 o'clock for stress management session. Okay. So, thank you, all of you.